Hello, welcome to The Buzz. My name is Susie Lytle, and on this episode, we'll be taking our first ever road trip. We'll be finding out what's so noisy at Jasper Pulaski Fish and Wildlife Area in Indiana. Then we'll join up with a team of biologists as we see what's lurking below in Monee Reservoir. Plus, we'll peek into our woodlands to find a seasonal favorite. So get ready to travel on this episode of The Buzz. There's one sound that I'll hear that makes me just stop. It's like loud trumpets in the sky. It's the calls of the migrating sandhill cranes. These aren't just your average geese flying overhead. There's something special about these birds that give me goosebumps. They're ancient, they're big but graceful, and they're social. Now, we've covered sandhill cranes before on The Buzz, but this year we want to take you on a road trip. For over a decade, staff at Plum Creek Nature Center have been taking visitors to Jasper Pulaski Fish and Wildlife Area for an experience they'll never forget. So we're gonna head to Mary DeVille, Indiana, which is about an hour, a little over an hour from Will County. This is a spot where the cranes will stage, visit, refuel, and you just don't see a couple cranes. We can see up to 10,000, 20,000, and in peak years, 30,000 birds. So come on, let's hit the road. All right, we are officially on the road now. A lot of this trek is kind of on back roads throughout the country, and I make sure, even though you're driving, try to check all the fields because it's possible that you could see sandhill cranes and even whooping cranes in these farm fields as you're driving to our Jasper Pulaski destination. And I try to think about what makes me just love these cranes so much. When you talk to birders, there's usually one bird that gets them into birding. And I'm just thinking okay, so what was the one moment that got me into sandhill cranes? And I realized it was when I first got hired with the Forest Preserve, and I was leading a group of visitors to Jasper Pulaski for the first time. And I just think the memories of it being so loud, there's so many cranes that it just echoes throughout the whole field. And seeing them fly in with their legs dangling, getting ready to take for a landing, those memories are just seared into my brain. We have officially arrived at Jasper Pulaski Fish and Wildlife Area, and from here I can already see a few cranes, but to get a closer look to make it to the observation decks, you're going to take this short trail. Along this trail, look out for these little signs. They are quizzing you about sandhill cranes. Once you've arrived at the observation decks, make sure to check out the kiosk. This has the quiz answers plus other fun facts about the sandhill cranes, and most importantly, sign in for a viewing permit. These permits help Jasper Pulaski figure out how many visitors they have. I hope the sound is coming across because it's just crazy. As each group comes in, they're calling. The groups out there are already making noise. I mean, one crane is loud, but imagine 4,000 all in one place. It's almost like you need earplugs. The magic of this call is all in the trachea. They have a really long one, and they can actually control making it longer or shorter. The louder the call, it could mean that there's a predator nearby. Or they can make a soft purring kind of click sound, and that's saying that they're getting ready to take off. Jasper Pulaski Fish and Wildlife Area was acquired in 1929. It first started out as a game farm and a game preserve. Today it has grown to 8,000 acres. You can still hunt, fish, and trap, plus there is a shooting range and a dog training area, plus this observation tower and platforms to view the cranes. After speaking with Jasper Pulaski's property manager, it is thought that these cranes have probably come here long before it was ever designated a fish and wildlife area. It wasn't until the 1990s where they saw large numbers of cranes coming, and it's thought that the management meant for geese also worked really well for the sandhill cranes. Behind me is the staging area where the cranes will meet up with each other, socialize, and even feed a bit. Then they'll fly to nearby agricultural lands for more food, and at night they'll go to the wetlands to roost or to sleep. Make sure you pack your binoculars or spotting scopes, or get ready to use the scopes on the deck, because quick look, you might not see many cranes, but there are actually thousands out there in the fields. Now this could top to 10,000, 20,000. The best time to see these cranes in these large numbers is mid-October through mid-December. The peak number is usually at the later end of November and early December. The best time of day to visit is either sunrise or sunset. In the sunrise, the birds are waking up from their roosting spots and heading back into this field to feed, socialize, before they head out to feed more or continue on their migration. In the sunset, the cranes are starting to fly back in from their day, check in with their friends, and then head to bed in their roosting sites. There are weekly counts of cranes that you can keep a tab on in the Indiana Department of Natural Resources website. Half an hour before sunset, 5 observers come out to Jasper-Pulaski's waterfowl refuge area to count the cranes as they move from their resting sites to their feeding sites. To get the final number, they take an average from each observer's count. Jasper-Pulaski sits in the middle of their flyway from their northern breeding grounds to their southern winter grounds. Sandhill cranes can start migrating as north as southern Canada and go to their wintering grounds as far south as Florida. Today, this refuge is managed specifically with cranes in mind. They want to keep it open because the cranes want long distances where they can see predators and feel safe enough to gather and feed. The fields are rotated from corn, beans, and wheat, and it's all surrounded by native prairie and savanna habitats. Sandhill cranes are broken up into 6 subspecies. A subspecies is basically a population that only breeds together. 3 of these subspecies are migratory, and the ones that we see in our Mississippi flyway are called the greater sandhill cranes. Now remember, our flyway includes all of Illinois, so you might be able to see these flying over our preserves and even your own yard. Now if you want to see a real epic staging area, to the west of us in the central flyway, in the Platte River Valley, Nebraska, that area can get 600,000 cranes. When looking out to the flock of cranes, you may notice that they like to hang out in family groups. This usually includes 2 adults and 1 to 2 juveniles. It's pretty easy to tell them apart by looking at their heads. The adults are going to have brilliant, bright red heads, and the juveniles are going to have like grayish or duller colors. So I've spotted 3 cranes, and it's so fun. It looks like they're socializing, trying to talk to each other. They're like opening their wings, they're bobbing their head, they're jumping all around. It's really a fun sight to see. Sandhill cranes are omnivores, eating both in land and water. They use their long bills to even poke the ground looking for seeds or insects, or they'll fling something in the air and catch it. This is really good for us because they're eating insects and rodents that could cause damage to the crops. To gain a little more perspective, when you're watching these birds jump in the air and flap their wings, they stand about 3 to 4 feet high, and their wingspan is 5 to 7 feet. We saw a lot of action about an hour before sunset, and these birds just kept coming. They fly in waves, like group of 30 here, another 20 here, 10 here. It was just something amazing just to see them keep coming and coming in. Sandhill cranes were once in danger due to hunting and habitat loss, but really their populations have come back. They've steadied in numbers or even increased in the past decades. One crane that's not as fortunate is the whooping crane. These cranes are federally endangered. It's a rare sight to see them in Illinois migrating, but it does happen. So make sure you scan all the sandhill cranes looking for this white bird, because we have seen them mixed in while flying and here at Jasper-Pulaski. In our flyway, it's estimated that there's only 80 birds. That's just crazy to me because I went to high school with more students than that. Even if you don't consider yourself a serious birder, coming to Jasper-Pulaski Fish and Wildlife Area is totally worth it. You'll be surrounded by these elegant birds that are known to be the oldest birds on Earth according to their fossil records. These birds are loud and charismatic as they check in with their fellow travelers. And remember, you could see these in our preserves or in your yard. So next time you see a V formation in the air, check to see if it's just geese or the legendary sandhill cranes. Come November, especially around Thanksgiving, there's one bird that stands out among the rest. the turkey. And now your centerpiece of your holiday feast is most likely a domestic farm-raised one. Wild turkeys do call our preserves home, and it's about time we give them a little appreciation for their way of life. Turkeys are big. They're mostly brown with some iridescent feathers that glimmer green or bronze in the sunlight. Male turkeys, also called toms, stand 3 feet tall and weigh about 18 to 24 pounds. Females are a little shorter and about half the weight. Both males and females have a flap of skin that hangs from their chin called a wattle. Now, it's more pronounced on males, but what's really cool is that it can change with their mood. When they're ready for mating season, it'll be bright, bold red. When they're afraid, it can appear more blue. When they're feeling ill, it can be pale or white. All these color changes just depend on how much blood flow is getting into the wattle. Wild turkeys are fast. They can run up to 12 miles per hour and even fly in short bursts up to 55 miles per hour. Now, they're usually flying to get up to a tree branch to escape a predator or sleep for the night. You can find turkeys year-round in mature woodlands, but in nesting season, they may be more along the forest edges or in grasslands. They can have about 18 eggs, and within 24 hours, those babies are ready to leave the nest. However, it will take them a week or two to learn how to fly. Wild turkeys are mostly herbivores, eating plant-based foods like seeds, grains, and leaves. But they're also known to add insects or spiders to their diet, and even larger animals like frogs and snakes. From time to time, you may see a domestic turkey on the loose, but it doesn't really have what it takes to survive the wild. First off, they tend to be bright white, making it very easy to spot. They're also noisier, and they're not strong enough to fly, causing them to be easy pickings for predators, including humans. So this Thanksgiving, while you're feasting on your turkey, make sure you give a toast to our wild turkeys who have what it takes to call the wild their home. When you look into our rivers, lakes, and reservoirs, have you ever wondered what fish live deep below? Well, the Forest Preserve District of Will County team up with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to conduct surveys to try to figure out how healthy and strong our fish populations are. These surveys are conducted in rotation, and Monee Reservoir is one on the list. Today's survey is called electrofishing. And electrofishing is putting low currents of electricity in the water that stuns the fish. Our team includes IDNR fishery biologists Brendan Caputo and Seth Love, plus our district wildlife ecologist Becky Blankenship. Love piloted the boat around the reservoir, while Caputo and Blankenship were the dippers catching all the stunned fish.
We shock lakes and rivers to better understand the fisheries present. It helps us to understand fish growth, what species are present, which ultimately helps to determine the regulations imposed and what species are stocked.
The boat is outfitted with special equipment, including a generator and booms that deliver the electrical current.
The radius is about 10 feet. It shocks about 10 feet tops down, and it stuns the fish. We have it set at a pretty low setting so that fish aren't stressed out or so that fish don't get burned. Fish come up to the surface, and then the dippers out front dip the fish out of the water. We have a holding tank here with oxygen so the fish can breathe.
The fish will stay stunned for about 2 to 3 minutes before getting back upright and swimming around. One by one, they collect data on the fish. We found lots of fish ranging in sizes of a tiny bluegill about the size of a goldfish to a monster 10-pound catfish. Now, this data is essential to gain insight on how to keep these fish happy and healthy.
What's that, over 30?
29 and a half. 745. This might be air. 47.96.
Woohoo!
About 10 pounds almost.
Electrofishing is so much fun. It is something that I don't get to do independently as part of my job, so because we have this cooperation, I get to experience a part of fisheries that I wouldn't normally get to do. It's a lot of work, but it's also really fun. It makes you really focus on the flashes of the fish popping up and using muscles that I need to work on owning to scoop the fish up. And it's a cool perspective that I get to see what the actual fish are that we're pulling up out of these waters.
So in the wintertime, we'll look at the fish data. We'll look at lengths and weights and body condition, which is an index of how plump the fish are. That helps us understand fish growth and if there's enough forage or if there's adequate forage for fish growth.
The Forest Preserve also uses this data to set the proper harvest limits. These limits keep the fish population in balance. The limits are in place so the fish don't get overcrowded, stunted, or over-harvested.
Setting a correct regulation is extremely important. Harvest is really important to properly manage a fishery. A lot of people believe that catch and release is really the only way to manage a fishery. And in some cases that can work if you've had a winter kill or summer kill where you're trying to protect that fishery from harvest to allow spawning to take place. Catch and release can be really useful, but proper harvest is extremely beneficial because it will help to keep your fish from getting crowded or stunted, so you won't have a bunch of really thin, unhealthy fish. It helps to alleviate bottlenecks in forage availability.
The biologists are looking for a special combination of fish. In nature, everything has its checks and balances, including these fish. So some species serve as prey, while others are predators, but they all have a role to play. During the survey, they caught a good amount of bass, bluegill, sunfish, catfish, but they also found an unwelcome fish. Yellow perch was not stocked at Monee Reservoir, and this one's a little concerning because it doesn't really play well with the ecosystem we have set up here.
In most Illinois lakes and ponds, you're really looking for the largemouth bass, bluegill, red ear sunfish, and channel catfish combo. That combo of fish species has really been tried and true and it works really well. We got quite a few bass, just about 2 bass per minute, which is really good. I would say that this was a pretty good collection of bass. Larger bluegill were absent, which could be because they spawn in the springtime, so it could just be an artificial view of the data. But I would say it was a pretty good survey.
Every few years, these fish also get tested for contaminants for the Illinois Department of Public Health to review. This is important because it will tell us if we need to adjust our limits or advisories. A lot of anglers still eat the fish they catch, so we want to make sure that everyone stays safe. Monee Reservoir is not the only preserve where electrofishing was conducted. Wallen Lake and Lake Shamanwood were also done this year. These surveys are done in the fall because it's when the fish come up from the deeper waters. And this is just one type of survey that is conducted on our local waterways and preserves. The district takes part in many others to get a full picture of how our wildlife and habitats are doing.
So I take the opportunity to help out on other projects as often as I can. It lets me get into the field and see what methods are being used and learn new methods myself. The more data we can collect, the better we can manage our lakes and habitats and preserves.
I think that the survey shows that there's quite a few bass present. It's not to say that in the summertime they may be difficult to catch just with the vegetation growth, but there's a lot of fish present, which shows that anglers should be able to catch some fish, especially in the spring or late to early fall.
Check out Monee Reservoir for your next fishing adventure. There's no ice fishing allowed, but try your luck anytime that there's open water. The concession stand and bait shop are open from March 1st through November 30th each year. hope you enjoyed exploring up to the skies and down to the depths of our waters. Make the trip to Jasper Pulaski to see those cranes flying in, or just check your own backyard flyaway. If water's more your thing, then make sure you squeeze in one last fishing trip at Monee Reservoir before the freezing temperatures set in. If you need help mapping this next adventure, visit us at reconnectwithnature.org for preserve and wildlife information. I hope to see you out trying a new place, but until then, I'll see you next time on The Buzz.